Let's do it.
I don't know. Maybe we should change that one day.
It's a
too
default
corny.
one, but yeah. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to Humble Brags and Shopping Bags with a little twist. It's just Hannah and I today.
We I think that, and I'm just going to talk on behalf of both of us.
Yep.
This is something that scares the shit out of us.
Yeah.
In terms of like being a bit more open, a bit more vulnerable. We started this with no expectations, and it kind of was a bit of a jump, I feel like, for both of us
Totally.
in terms of it's new, it's something different. We took a risk, we took a plunge, and we're at episode 10. So we kind of thought, hey, why not get to know us, our careers, our aspirations, a little bit behind why we do what we do,
Yep.
and interview each other.
Absolutely. I am really excited to chat with you. We do this all the time in our personal lives, and now we're just being recorded. So that's how we have to approach it, I think, so that we can really give everyone the authentic, vulnerable sides of ourselves. I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like the way that we first met, because people probably don't know that you and I have known each other you were one of the first people I met when I started in ecom.
Yeah.
And it was over food.
It was
Just
over
to let
food.
you know.
Yeah.
We were at an event.
Yep. At
And
Babylon. It was Babylon Rooftop, I
at
remember.
Babylon.
Yeah.
And we were getting into this dip. And I'm not even joking. There were, I reckon, 50 people at this event.
Yeah.
No one was eating.
No one. It was
just
a
you
full
and I.
platter.
Full platter.
Yeah. We're like, there's halloumi, there's olives. And then I was like, oh, hey.
Hey, because I was the only one eating the same dip, and
Yeah.
we started bonding over the baba ganoush.
Exactly.
And I think from there, like, we just knew that, I don't know, like we get each other.
Yeah.
Like there's something we're very aligned in terms of I feel like our past and our aspirations.
Yep. Our values,
Yeah.
our character.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, so much has happened since then.
I
I'm like,
know.
I don't even know like where
know.
to go and how
I
it
know.
evolved. Even in the e-commerce industry,
Yeah.
since we met and everything that's happened since then, it's just been huge. But I think that even our characters aligned, and now we have such an amazing community of people around us who share those values too. And I feel like it really all stemmed from that
Yeah.
moment that we shared, and then the way we cultivated our friendship, and now the people that we have around us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that people may not know. Like, when genuinely we're not kind of pretentious people.
Yes.
We're not bitchy.
Yeah.
We don't like
Not clicky.
It's not clicky,
Yeah.
like open to having a conversation with anyone.
Yeah. And I think when we were started off in the e-commerce industry, or particularly me, it was a little bit clicky, I have to say.
Yeah.
I attended my first events and I felt a bit out of place. There was a bit of a boys club still happening at the time, and there was a group of, e-commerce women, but there was only about 3 or 4 of them who were each other's cheerleaders, and that's it. No one else was in that inner circle. So I was sort of observing this, and then I was like, I don't ever want it to be like that. And you're exactly the same as me, and you know me, like if I'm having a birthday party next month, I invite everyone.
You invite everyone.
It's not if we have a dinner, if we have a lunch, it's really is open to everyone, and I really feel that now in our industry. Yeah.
And like, that's where, you always need that one person to come in and be like, nah, this has got to stop.
Yeah.
And I think that's the driver of change.
Yeah.
And change happens slowly. It happens over time. But I definitely do feel, not saying that it's you and I that's making that change.
No,
It's actually
yeah.
collectively
Totally.
people who are like, I'm supportive and I'm going to back you 100%, and I want you to succeed.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you fail.
Exactly.
And that's what I love about what's happening really feel like that's happening in the e-commerce space
Exactly.
in Australia at the moment, which I love.
Yeah. And that's how the podcast was born, right?
Yeah.
So you and I have always spoken about, man, we just love these people. We want to showcase what they're doing, all these leaders. So I'm going to now talk about how the podcast formed from the very beginning. So obviously you and I have already spoken about how we wanted to launch a podcast. We didn't know how to make that happen, right? It's a foreign, it's a new world for us. We don't know anything about it.
Also terrifying. Yeah. Like we're not also people that would usually, well, I speak for myself. Actually, I do put myself on stage, let's be real.
Yeah.
But like usually it's not something, this is a big leap for us.
Formalize it.
Yeah.
No, just for the bands.
Yeah.
So then my good friend Ed Badawi, who
we love Ed.
Love Ed.
Cheers, Ed.
Egyptian brother. He's the founder of a company called Sales Inc. Came up to me and he said, look, I've just been working with a podcast studio and we want to generate some content and I would really love for you to be a part of this journey. Of course, I was like, I would love to work with you, Ed, in any capacity, but I have to bring Hannah into this because it's something we've already been speaking about and it's perfect.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel so lucky and grateful that we came across Ed and this opportunity and now the whole team at the Logic Studios and Blake, because it's pretty awesome that we're able to do this.
Oh, like I pinch myself.
Yeah.
It's just it's hard because we didn't really know what to expect, and truthfully, we don't really know what we're doing. We're kind of just making it up as we go along.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so much fun.
Yeah.
But also like really terrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
But I just feel so humbled and privileged that you would even involve me in this, but also how like, you know, Blake, Ed, the full team.
Yeah.
This is an awesome setup, guys.
Yeah.
Like it really is. We've got it good.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Big shout out. They're sitting out there right now. Ed and Blake, we love you. Thank you. We appreciate you. And also I just want to say something that I absolutely love about Ed is that he works for his organization, which isn't a sales organization, but he is not your typical sales guy, which I love. He's totally changed your perception of what it looks like to be doing sales.
Yep.
And I absolutely love that. So
yeah,
props to you, Ed. We love that.
Can tell a story as well.
Yeah.
Like storyteller.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's interview ourselves. Because here's the thing.
Yep.
I would say that we get around in industry. That sounds
been around.
sounds dodgy. But I don't actually think people really know much about our past or where we've been, what motivates us. I think you and I are very similar in that we haven't had it easy in many different ways, in many different stages of our lives. And I don't think people quite recognize that or understand the hustle and the grit that goes behind just day to day.
Totally.
So tell me.
Where do we start?
All
right.
I had a few questions for you, but I'm going to go with the last question to start.
Starting at the end.
I'm going to start at the end because this is, I think will generate and give you a bit more context of your past. But you are probably one of the most passionate people when it comes to diversity inclusion that I've ever met.
Thank you.
Every opportunity, and people don't understand. It's like it's a part of your being. Like every conversation, regardless of, you know, diversity inclusion is a very broad topic, but you are constantly advocating, and there's a why behind that. And I feel like I want you to tell everyone more about that journey.
The why, yeah,
The
for
why.
sure. I mean, look, my why to me feels so logical because I guess it's the way I've been raised.
Yeah.
It's the way that I've experienced life as a woman of colour living in Australia with migrant parents coming from Egypt. So for me, it's logical, but I understand that for other people, it's not. But my why. So as I said, obviously my parents migrated from Egypt in the 40s. And, you know, just being a child of migrant parents comes with its own challenges. And, you know, the way you perceive life is a little bit different. And I'm sure people listening coming from the same background will understand. However, my parents were We did not grow up around Egyptians. It was such a diverse background of people that I was exposed to. So we had friends from all sorts of walks of life, religions, races, everything. In my house, my mum is an amazing cook, so she would have people over, she would feed them. I was constantly getting kicked out of my bedroom because we'd have people sleeping over. It was just an open house for everyone and anyone to come to. So that's how I was raised. I genuinely just see people as people. I don't see you by your color, your race, your age. So for me, that's the logical side of things. Now, as I've gone on to experience life, because I have friends from so many different minority backgrounds, I see the way that they're treated differently. I see how I've been treated differently. And so for me, it's like I need to do everything I can to, first of all, give those people opportunities to thrive. And secondly, make sure that I'm living and breathing that, because that, like you said, I'm so passionate about it that I want to make sure, and I always say in any career I'm in or company, I don't care if I'm known as a good marketer or I don't care if I'm known as a good employee. I don't really care about rules. Like it's not who I am. I just care that, you know what, that girl was passionate about that cause.
Yeah.
And she did what she could to challenge the norms. And if I'm known for that, I'm happy, because that's what life is about. It's just a job. It's just a career. But if you're connecting with people and you're trying to support something for the greater good, then for me, that's all you can do.
You're so good at it, and we just get so caught up in the day to day. And I've been noticing. Well, I'm not going to even go on this rant, but I feel like ego drives so many people that we know, that we don't know. It's just human nature. And that convolutes the greater good, the broader message. Like, why are we here?
Totally. And that's it. I know you're the same. I don't believe that I am better than anyone else. Yeah. So that you can't have an ego.
Yeah.
Everyone has a story. And that's why I love doing this podcast, because you delve deeper into someone's story. Everyone has challenges. We all go through things. So yeah, for me, it's outrageous that people, subconscious bias is one thing, but to be discriminative, I can't stand that. And for that to affect someone's life and livelihood, I get so upset about that.
Yep. And the ignorance is out there, guys. And that's why I ask you that question first, because I just think it's an important topic for us to touch on, because I know some of the conversations we've had, you've seen it, you've been part of it firsthand.
Yep.
And you can only claim ignorance for so long.
Yep. I sort of have a similar question right back at you, because it's also one of the things that I love about you is you are so authentic in the way that you deal with people, and you have an empathy and for everyone. And it's very rare to have someone like you to just be able to connect with anyone. And I've introduced you to a lot of people in my personal life, my family, colleagues, partnerships, whatnot. And you have this ability to literally get along with anyone. It doesn't matter who they are. And not everyone can do that, because some people can only get along with people who they feel they have similarities to, or maybe walking the same path. But I really believe that you genuinely connect with people on a human level. And for me, like I said, it's logical. I'm a person of color. I was raised a certain way, but I'm in awe of how you are able to bring that to the table. So I have that question right back at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Where do we start? So there are a lot of, first of all, when I was a kid, I basically didn't speak for the first 6 years of my life.
Wow.
I was so shy. Shy.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I evolved to be where I'm at now. I feel like there's a few stages to it. And I'd say that from a very young age, I've always observed. I've always been very much an observer. Obviously now I'm definitely not shy and much more in your face, if you want to say that. But I feel like the ability to connect starts from that, from where I was as a child.
Yeah.
So I was very, very shy. And my grandmother one day when we were, I remember it so vividly. You know how you just have those memories of your childhood that you're like, I don't know how that's so clear and that one memory is vivid, but this one was. We were sitting at a restaurant and I needed a serviette and I was like, I can't ask the waiter for a serviette. Why would I do that? Why would I speak to somebody? Because like that scares the shit out of me. And my grandmother looked at me and she said to me, Hannah, you're never going to get ahead in life if you don't start talking to people and being yourself. Like you basically got to grow up because this is ridiculous. Yeah. And I don't, and it wasn't exactly in those words, but that was one stage of my life where I went, right, I can't keep on hiding. I can't be afraid. And then I still continued on as a shy child, but I would at least talk and I would at least talk to people. Yeah. Then in school, I was really bullied. I was really bullied. I mean, I'm a 6'2" female and I've been that height since I was 14 years old. So kids are cruel. Yeah. But I think that experience gave me how do I explain this? Like if you've experienced bullying at any point in your life, you can probably understand that it either breaks you or makes you stronger. And for me, it definitely made me stronger in that I would take it and I would take it and I would take it and I'd go, there is one day where I'm going to use this for good. And I almost had that hindsight when I was like, 12, 13 years old in that this is going to be something that I will never forget, but it's not going to be a bad thing. And so that kind of really changed my outlook on how I need to connect and work with people. Then I actually had a really good end of, like, once I kind of went through primary school, my high school was good because people don't know this, but I lived in the UK for 2 years. I went to school there. And when you're an Australian going to a British school, they just think you're the best thing ever. So I went from being this bullied kid to being the most popular person in school. Yeah. But it almost like went the other way and I was so desperate. I was like so shocked that I was like, oh my God, I've got friends. Like I've got friends. People like me. Yeah. That I went into more of a people pleasing mode, which also wasn't ideal. Yeah. Anyway, I'm probably giving you too much.
That's great.
Just too much information here.
Never too much.
But yeah, it meant that I kind of had this like real trauma, like different levels of trauma. And then also this other side of which was like amazing as a child that kind of shaped me in that way. And then when I went into uni and I started off in law and I completed a law degree as well, but I worked a lot whilst I was studying, like 4 jobs at any one given time. But one particular job was when I was working at Red Bull and I was a Wings girl. So I just drive around in this Wings car. But the KPIs were you have to speak to 180 different people each shift and convince them to drink a Red Bull and why they should be drinking a Red Bull. And when I tell you, I spoke to like the most wildly opposite characters on any one given day, whether it's like we would convince ourselves, we would convince an admin assistant at a bank to let us through the offices to be able to give them a Red Bull. We'd go to tradie sites and tell them about. We'd go to give them Red Bull, give them wings, as we'd say. We'd go to, like just a train station and get all of this heat about how Red Bull was bad for you and how. So we had to like have all of these different instances where people would be either love you or hate you or whatever it might be. So that also gave me just this really good understanding of different types of people and how to deal with them. So you can kind of see how like I've always been a people person, but also not at my core.
Yeah.
Because that's almost been a trained behavior.
Yeah. Interesting.
But like the way and going back to, the way you were raised, I was raised in a very humble family.
Yeah.
We didn't have much. We very much valued education, and we were like, I just grew up with really strict values. You be a good person to everyone you meet.
Yeah.
So
such a difference.
yeah.
I think something that I really loved as well about my my upbringing is that my parents took me back to Egypt every 2 years.
Yeah, right.
And I have a lot of family in Egypt. And just being able to see a different way of life and living really did shape me. And I saw a lot of my family in Egypt don't have much at all. They're very poor, but they were the most generous people and they were happy. And just being able to experience and live like that absolutely shaped me as well. And having that humility throughout everything is so important. Keeps you grounded.
That's the thing. Like when you don't, I don't know how to, when you don't come from much, or when you see people who don't have much and you're around them and you're immersed in that, then it gives you a different perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
But I didn't get on a plane until I went to the UK, right, when I was younger. But living overseas and seeing a different way of life and how people lived and being able to travel, I just think fundamentally changes your outlook on on life, the way people live. And,
Totally. Yeah, and I think that's something we have in common, that like go-getter attitude, that resilience. I know we don't like complaining. We just if we want something, we'll go and get it, and that's it. I personally think you're a lot nicer than me. I think I'm definitely I'm the more kind of like direct, cutthroat one. You can even see it in the podcast. I think when we listen back, you're very complimentary and you'll like reflect on the episode where I'm like, next question, you know what I mean? So I think that we really balance each other out in that sense.
Yeah, you're way more cutthroat.
Yeah.
I'm like, although sometimes not, but when I know it's going to help somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that works really well. But with that resilience, I think it's helped us a lot in our careers, which I want to also talk about, because, I mean, no one really went to uni thinking they're going to land in e-commerce. It's a new industry. It's a booming industry. So I know you and I both came to this point in very different ways with a lot of different struggles.
Yep.
I'd love to hear about your journey into e-commerce and any challenges that came with it.
Yeah, again, where do we start?
Yeah.
I think the hardest part of my career was when I was coming out of law school. And I'm very open in that I just really struggled. I wouldn't say I had the best. I'm from Adelaide, if people didn't know that. And not saying that, like, I feel like the fact that we've become more open, everything's more online, has given anyone equal amounts of opportunity. But when I was starting off in my career out of uni, actually it was very much, you're either in Sydney or Melbourne. If you're from Adelaide or Western Australia, and people who are from those states will understand when I say this, that you are discriminated against in the sense that you're not local, like you're not near the head office. How are you going to come and have an interview? So it is naturally you just stick to your state.
Yeah.
And I struggled to get a legal job, really struggled. I didn't have the perfect grades. I really didn't, because I spent most of my time when I was at uni working as opposed to investing in studying. And I did get a job, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And so I made the decision to go and get my master's degree in commerce management, marketing, whatever the name of it was. I can't even remember it anymore, even though I'm still paying the HECS debt for it. But where was I? Anyway, I did my master and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But I thought, I'm coming out of uni with a law degree and a master's degree. everyone's going to hire me. Mm-mm. Bum, bum. No, they did
Sound
not.
effect.
It was like rejection after rejection after rejection. I had to do, like I was going for anything and everything.
Why? Is this a competitive industry?
I don't know. I think I did a lot of psychometric testing and I'm not good at maths and I'm not going to pretend like I am. I'm just not, don't really have any interest in it.
Remember that test that we did for that job?
Oh, yeah.
We did that.
And I passed it. I don't know how I passed
I
it.
cheated. But anyway, moving on.
Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on.
Yeah.
How did you? Okay,
Tell you
we'll talk
later.
about this later.
Yeah.
But I sucked at this psychometry. I got very good at it when it got to application 60.
Yeah.
Because you figured out there's only a few providers that do this psychometric testing, and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Like, but that really broke me.
Yeah.
Because I've never felt so like I just thought I was gonna walk into a job.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how hard it was going to be. And it also made me think, why am I not good enough? Why am I not good enough for all of these big companies? I'm like, I will work hard.
Yeah.
I will be the hardest worker in the room. I guarantee you will not regret hiring me. And yet they didn't. And then it got to Optus. And like I love Optus. I worked there for, quite a few years. But getting into that organization was actually really difficult. And that was the final application. I had the recruiter call me and tell me, you haven't got the job. And I said, and I just had this feeling. I was like, no, I was meant to get this one. I had a feeling I was going to. And I convinced them. I was just like, I guarantee you will not regret hiring me. You will not, this will be the best hire you've ever made. And a woman who was one of the directors there, basically this recruiter reached out to her and said, "Oh, like what do we do?" And she goes, "Okay, I'll give her a chance." And that woman, Sam Kennedy, shout out if you're listening, was such a pivotal point in my career, meeting her and working with her, because she gave me so much opportunity, and it made me really have this voice in the back of my head that's still there, to never take anything for granted. I want to be successful. I've always known that. Like I know what I want, and I'm on a pathway to get there. But don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
And always work hard. Always be, don't be the smartest person in the room, but know that you're the hardest worker in the room.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I'm definitely not that smart. I'm really not. I'm really not. And people always laugh at that, but I'm 100% not that smart. But
Beg to differ,
the thing is, I'd rather be known
Yeah.
for the fact that I hustled hard
Yeah. Yeah.
and I worked hard,
Yeah.
and people never doubted that where I'm here right now was because of anything else.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's the struggle that people don't see.
Totally.
Because
They just see you now where you are.
they just see me
don't-
now, and they don't see the rejections and the hard work that's gone
Yes.
behind that,
Yep.
and the hours of weekend work and like working nights and really grinding.
Yeah.
People don't see that side of it.
Yeah.
They just see the person on LinkedIn or
Exactly.
the person who I met five minutes ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's where I think, and like I know you're the same in terms of your journey, and like hasn't actually been that easy.
No, it hasn't. My journey, just I'll try to make it a bit quick, but I guess so. I studied a Bachelor of Communications, majoring in media art productions. Now, one thing most people might not know about me is when my last year of university, I got married. I was very young, very, very young. Got married when I was 20. And my husband at the time was actually still studying his master's. So I got out of uni and I was like, oh, I need to make money. I've got a husband and he doesn't have a full-time job. I need to get into the workforce. So the first job that I found was a random job that I had never heard about before. I was a conference producer. And I worked for a production company. It was a startup production company. I was the second producer they ever hired. Who knew? And I started producing conferences. So they would just give me a topic. It could be anything: intellectual property, HR, finance, and they would just go create a conference in 20 days.
What?
Yep. So I would go and I would find people to do research with, heads of those companies and industries, and go, all right, I'm creating a conference. What do you want to hear about? What do you want to hear about? Content. Who do you want to hear from? Blah, blah, blah. Then I would go, yep, I think this is going to be valuable. I would take it to my manager and say, this is going to be a good conference. We'd do a go, no go recommendation meeting. And then I would go and I'd write the whole agenda for the conference, write out the topics, get the speakers on board, and then run the event.
Wow. I
One
had
conference.
no idea.
I know. One conference every 20 days on a different topic.
Oh my God.
So it was a random job, but it taught me so much. It taught me I was 20. It taught me how to deal with exec leadership, how to talk to them. Then I was networking with them at the conferences. There were speakers of my events. I learned about all these different random topics. And then I had my daughter when I was 24 and got a divorce before she was 1. So I don't like saying I'm a single mum because I didn't do it alone. I'm co-parenting and I have my parents, but of course it comes with its challenges being a single mum, which absolutely was challenging. And then I got a job at Online Retailer, which as a conference producer, but I was just heading up the content, but it was just for an e-commerce specific conference.
Yeah. Wow. So
Yeah.
I actually never put that together because you've been in e-commerce actually way longer than what I have.
Yeah.
I would say you're almost like the OG. You were 24. I mean, not giving away your age.
Yeah,
That's a fair few years ago.
It's a fair few years ago. And that's what launched me into e-com. I started doing that event and heading up the content for it. And I just fell in love with the industry, with the people I was meeting. Some of the first people I met was Laura Doonan, Kirsten, Sandra D, like just amazing people.
Yeah.
Became friends with them and then just, kept going into e-com, which was hard at first. Like I said, it was a bit of a different environment back then.
Yeah.
But I feel really lucky that I've come to a point now where I work for a SaaS company that I'm really passionate about. And I get to do cool things like Amazing Women in E-commerce. And it just feels like a 180 because it's like where I started and I'm kind of living that out now. Yeah.
You and I are alike in that way, in that we're very passionate people, I think, by nature.
Yeah.
We love to go deep. We love to, I don't know, get to know what we're doing. I don't think either of us could work for a company that we weren't like authentically passionate about.
Exactly.
And we're lucky in that we're both in organizations now where we do get to, but also to, we're allowed to be authentic. Our companies enable that, which I think is actually quite unique and rare.
Yeah, 100%.
What terrifies you?
Birds. I'm scared of birds.
Not from a literal sense.
What terrifies me?
Like, as in career-wise, what scares you?
I scare myself, honestly, because I can be too passionate and I know I have to rein it in. And we've spoken about this before. What I get scared of is that I have to remind myself sometimes that I am in a corporate environment and that I might not be able to make all the change that I think I can because there's still roadblocks. Unfortunately, there's many roadblocks. And if I speak up too much, I get penalized for that in my career. And I've seen it before and that it annoys me, it worries me, but because I want to feel like I have a voice so that I'm able to give other people a voice. And then when my voice gets quietened, I'm like, well, how am I going to help other people? And that freaks the hell out of me.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. Because, like, let's face it, we can be real to a point. I feel like we're probably most real, or you see most of our personalities on this show, and we try and keep it as authentic as possible and as free-flowing and conversational because that's what we know we like to hear.
Yeah.
But you're right. The reality is that when you are in a corporate environment and we care about our image. We care about what people think of us. We care about the opinion we're like giving and the ambience we're portraying, like, or the personas we're portraying, that it does stop us from being completely real or
it's not
completely
just in corporate. Like,
it's everywhere.
I like to post a lot on Instagram and LinkedIn, and I have been so ridiculed for some of the things that I've posted.
What?
Yeah, I was in Vegas. It was New York for NRF.
Yeah.
And there was an opening keynote about diversity
Yeah.
in the workplace, and
Yeah.
it was quite progressive at that time because it was about 4 years ago. And the keynote was a woman, and she was talking about diversity in the workplace at an e-commerce event.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. And I was sitting in front behind a man who I was watching him, and he was scrolling on Insta, and then he came across this girl in a bikini, and he was zooming in on her boobs, and then he was screenshotting it and sending it to his mates. And I guess I was young and whatever, but I probably shouldn't have put this on LinkedIn, but I just said, I'm really inspired that I'm at NRF and the opening keynote is diversity in the workplace, and I'm so inspired. Very ironic that I'm sitting behind a guy who's zooming into boobs and sending it to his mates and not listening to the content. And at first it was like, oh, love this, haha, awesome, go girl, from all the Aussies. Then overnight the post went viral. Then I started getting so much hate mail. People started emailing my workplace, you should fire this girl, defamation, lawsuits, this, that, da, da, da. So yeah, it's not like that's in corporate, but again, like even on Instagram, like during BLM, I post something and I get people going, hey, why you're hating white people. Da, da, da. So it's just in every facet of life. If you expose yourself and you speak up, you're not going to please everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, and again, that's a thing. I feel like we can't stop being real.
No.
Like,
I mean, you can, but that would be boring.
that would be boring.
Fake.
Like, if you're not gonna stir shit up a little bit, you're never gonna influence change.
Yeah.
So why are we doing what we're doing?
Exactly.
If we're just happy to be one of everyone else.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
I think that's almost where your passion. You should never be scared of your passion.
Yeah. You shouldn't, but unfortunately, some people are in situations where they get scared out of their passion.
Yeah.
And that's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
I have a question for you because I know we don't have that much time left. If you could change and like genuinely impact one issue in the world, whatever it is, what would you change or make your mark on?
It's a really good question. I'm really passionate about a few different things, but I think where I've been most impacted, which sometimes drives my behavior, is around women in the workplace, but not in an inauthentic way. Like, I don't want to be that person who gets a role just because I'm a woman.
Yeah,
I don't believe in that.
Yeah,
I believe in real true change, not because you're a part of a quota or a number that I have to hit as a KPI. And that's something I'm really passionate about, is actually uncovering, okay, what does women in technology truly look like from a support network, having women who support women and who aren't going to go and just say, oh, I support you and I want your growth, but as soon as you fall down, I'm going to shit on you. Like that for me is an area where I just want to create a community that we can all get together, we can talk, we can have it out, we can be open. It's healthy conflict. We're supporting each other. We're driving each other's growth. We're challenging each other. And that I haven't come across. Everything has been really fake and one-dimensional, because, you know, if you're in a workplace that has been heavily influenced by males for a long time, it's just, oh yeah, like I'm going to support you because I know that I have to. And I don't think that that's fair either. And I want to caveat that with, I love men and women equally.
Yeah.
I am not for one or the other. I just love working with people.
Absolutely.
And I will respect you based on your accolades, based on what you've done, based on where you've been, the way you interact, like not because of your gender. But I do think that I've definitely felt so supported in some ways and then not supported in others. So
Totally. I mean, you make a valid point. It's not that we think that women are superior. It's that we know that there's a lot of work still to be done, even amongst ourselves, the competition against each other. And I want to applaud you and thank you, because you genuinely do support women. And that's another reason why we connected from the beginning. It's because you're the person who talks about that woman when she's not in the room. You're the person who, if that person has been made redundant or fired or whatever, is still looking for opportunities for that person. You want to go into partnership with other women, and not a lot of people do that genuinely. And honestly, very grateful that you're one of the people that do actually do that. And I think we are seeing a community of women who are becoming more and more like that, which is amazing. But you notice the difference of how men do business and women do business, and it's still so prevalent. Like, men will go for dinner with each other and say, do you want to invest in my company? Do you want to go in partnership? And it's like quick wins like that. Whereas so much harder for women to bring each other into something like support is not just a like on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's not just a comment of amazing, you're doing so good.
Yeah.
It's more than that. It's bringing opportunities and providing opportunities and seeing how can we help each other.
Yep.
It's not there yet.
Yep. And that's the thing. It's like also just even speaking to we've had amazing female founders on this podcast, and the common thread is that they really struggle to get investment.
Yep.
Why?
Yep.
Why in 2023 is that a problem?
Yeah.
And the thing is, if something happens once, you go, okay, maybe it's an outlier.
Yeah.
But when you're hearing this conversation time and time and time again, and it's all so similar in terms of the sequence of events, we have a problem. So I don't know. I feel like we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
And I'm not about doing things just for the sake of it. It's like, no, there's something here. And that's why I do think like the fact that you pioneered Amazing Women in E-commerce, you come to these events and they're not like it, and it can be men or women can come. They're genuinely just, it's authentic and it's from the heart and it's not forced, and it's like it's cultivating something really beautiful. So I'm super passionate about that. Like I could probably talk for days around other things that I'm passionate about, but I think that's the main one that's top of mind at the moment.
Yeah, I love it, and it's such an important one. And I truly believe if we have that culture of just embracing differences, whether it's gender is just one thing. Gender is one thing.
And this is what people forget.
Yeah.
They always go diversity
Yeah.
has to be gender.
No.
Actually, it's not.
Yeah.
It's age, it's race, it's gender, it's what state you grow up in and in like in this country and in other, there's so many different factors to diversity.
Yeah.
But going back to your point, humans are humans.
Exactly.
Like you can be a good person or a bad person regardless of any of those factors.
Exactly.
So like good attracts good, you know, we just need to focus on being good humans and supporting each other. And that might be a real fantasy land. Maybe we're just talking shit here, but like I kind of see the world in that way.
Yeah.
Maybe
we need robots, the AI, to start fighting us so that we can finally start making change. But
I honestly think we need another episode where it's just you and us talking about things that are happening, trends in e-commerce at the moment and opinions and perspectives, because I feel like that opens a whole new can of worms that we won't get into today.
We should bring an expert onto.
We should.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think 100% we should AI, headless, whatever
exactly.
buzzwords we can find.
Yeah.
Let's bring on somebody that can talk to it and actually give the like pros and cons and non-salesy version of what's happening in industry.
100%.
But anyway, last question for you.
Oh yeah, go.
I'm gonna
Go.
if you could say something to your 18-year-old self, what would it be?
To my 18-year-old.
Apart from don't get married.
Yeah, don't do it. I can't even say that because I got Amina from it, and she's a little blessing.
And-
so I wouldn't even say that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Amina is, I can't even describe this child.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She is God's gift.
She is. Yeah,
She's amazing.
Such a good kid. Shout out Amina if you're listening.
We love
you.
Amina. We love you. You're so cute.
Yeah. To my 18-year-old self, I was very different when I was 18. Wasn't my authentic self. So I think what I would say is it's going to be okay once you discover that you can be yourself and you do not need to follow the norms of your parents' religion or your parents' culture or what you think society should think you are. it's going to be okay, and you can achieve success by just being yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny? I think my message to my 18-year-old self would be exactly the same. You don't
Interesting.
have to conform. Just do you.
Yeah.
Just do you.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. I was so highly strung and so like almost not, I don't ever think there's a thing as being overly ambitious. Don't ever let anyone tell you
Yep.
that you're too ambitious.
100%.
I get told that all the time. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah. Exactly.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not apologizing for my ambition whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is a point if you're getting anxious or you're so highly strung around the future, so just focus on doing the best you can in that moment.
Yeah.
That's
I love it.
That's literally my exactly the same. But
So
I'm not
good.
surprised.
No, exactly. Love it. I think that's all we have time for, even though I know
Yeah.
we can speak.
We
for
could
another-
talk. Maybe we can do a part 2.
I think so. We do
If
it
people
every,
like
every
it.
10 episodes.
Yeah.
We can, yeah.
If you want a part 2,
Let
if you want a
us
bit
know.
more, let
Yeah.
us know.
And you know something that we've never said on the podcast, which we have to, please subscribe.
This is a part of the fact that we don't
Yeah.
really know what we're doing, but hey, we're
Exactly.
here. Please subscribe.
Yeah, if you're enjoying the content,
Just
if you
let us
want us,
know.
the more you subscribe, the more you engage, the more people and amazing people we can bring to the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're enjoying it, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you know what? We should repeat that every episode.
We
now,
should.
Just to remind y'all.
exactly.
Keep subscribe.
Yeah.
Keep listening. Let us
Exactly.
know what you want.
Yeah. But I just want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure doing
thank
all of
you.
this with you. Appreciate you, as you know, in my life. And
I appreciate you. It's like a love fest down here.
know.
Honestly, I've never met somebody more aligned
Yeah.
with like we're just so we're so the same, but
Yeah,
also so different.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but I feel like I've hit a jackpot meeting you, and I'm so fortunate to call you my friend.
Oh, likewise. Let's end it there.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than
Bye.
that. Oh.
Bye, guys. We're going for dinner now. Bye, all.
Fire door. No electricity. They cook with fire.
Oh, my God. That was so much fun.